Well, I don't know what to say about all this. It's pretty sobering to me. I hope it's sobering to you. I hope it'll make you guys think to where we are in the scheme of things. But, alright. Again, America, Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 58. Okay, now, moving on. EconomicCollapseBlog.com. I'm going to be reading this in the third person. I'll post a link up below so you can read it yourself. I'm going to read you two articles from this. Rampant unemployment equals the death of the middle class. 40 facts that prove the working class is being systematically wiped out. Alright. Without an abundance of good jobs, the middle class in the United States is going to shrivel up and die. Right now, rampant unemployment is absolutely killing communities all over America. Hopelessness and poverty are exploding, and many are now wondering if we are actually witnessing the slow death of the middle class. There simply are not nearly enough good jobs to go around anymore, and even many in the mainstream media are referring to this as a long-term structural problem with the economy. The only thing that most working class Americans have to offer in the marketplace is their labor. If nobody will hire them, they do not have any other ways to provide for their families. Well, there is a problem. Today, wealth has become incredibly centralized. The big corporations and the big banks dominate everything. Thanks to incredible advances in technology and thanks to the globalization of our economic system, the people with all the money don't have to hire as many ordinary Americans anymore. They can hire all the labor they want on the other side of the globe for a fraction of the cost. So the rich don't really have that much use for the working class in America anymore. What did I just get done reading to you guys? The only thing of value that the working class had to offer has now been tremendously devalued. The wealthy don't have to pay a lot for physical labor anymore. Thousands of our factories and millions of our jobs have been shipped overseas, and they aren't coming back. The big corporations are thriving while tens of millions of ordinary Americans are deeply suffering. Almost all of the wealth being produced by our economy is going to a very centralized group of people at the very top of the food chain. The rich are getting richer, and the working class is being systematically wiped out. So the fact that we are facing rampant unemployment that never seems to go away should not be a surprise to anyone. Today, the official unemployment rate went up to 9.2%, even though a whopping 272,000 Americans dropped out of the labor force in June. The government unemployment figure that includes discouraged workers went up from 15.8% to 16.2%. The mainstream media is proclaiming that this was a horrific report because most economists were expecting much better news. Well, guess what? Things are going to get a whole lot worse. More job cuts are coming. One recently released report found that the number of job cuts being planned by U.S. employers increased by 11.6% in June. It is also being projected that state and local governments across the U.S. will slash nearly 500,000 more jobs by the end of next year. Needless to say, things don't look good. Most people that still have jobs are desperately trying to hold on to them. Employers know that most workers are easily replaceable these days, so wages are not moving up, even though the cost of living is. We are right in the middle of the worst employment downturn since World War II. Jay-Z recently summed up the situation this way: numbers don't lie, unemployment is pretty high. Jay-Z certainly has a way with words, eh? If something is not done about the rampant unemployment in this nation, the death of the middle class will accelerate. Most Americans just assume that the United States will always have a large middle class, but there is no guarantee that is going to happen. In fact, there's a whole lot of evidence that the middle class in America is rapidly shrinking. Oh, it's going to shrink, and it's going to fade away, and it's going to die. I'm telling you right now. Take a few moments to read over the facts compiled below. Guess what? I will read them to you. And you can read them again yourselves after I post a link below. Taken together, they provide compelling evidence that the working class is being systematically wiped out. Right now, the U.S. government says that 14.1 million Americans are unemployed. There are fewer payroll jobs in the United States today than there were back in 2000, even though we have added 30 million people to the population since then. The number of Americans that are not in the labor force is at an all-time high. The United States has never had an employment downturn this deep and this prolonged since World War II ended. There are officially 6.3 million Americans that have been unemployed for more than 6 months. That number has risen by more than 3.5 million in just the past 2 years. Number 6. It now takes the average unemployed worker in America about 40 weeks to find a new job. Just check out this chart. And you guys will be able to check out the chart when I post a link below. There are now about 7.25 million fewer jobs in America than when the recession began back in 2007. Back in 2000, the employment to population ratio was over 64%. Today it is sitting at just 58.2%. Only 66.8% of American men had a job last year. That was the lowest level that has ever been recorded in all of U.S. history. Number 10, during this economic downturn, employee compensation in the United States has been the lowest that it has been relative to gross domestic product in over 50 years. The number of low-income jobs in the U.S. has risen steadily over the past 30 years, and they now account for 41% of all the jobs in the United States. There's your new jobs. Half of all American workers now earn $505 a week or less per week. According to a report released in February from the National Employment Law Project, higher wage industries are accounting for 40% of the job losses in America, but only 14% of the job growth. Lower wage industries are accounting for just 23% of the job losses, but 49% of the job growth. The United States has lost a staggering 32% of its manufacturing jobs since the year 2000. Between December 2000 and December 2010, 38% of the manufacturing jobs in Ohio were lost, 42% of the manufacturing jobs in North Carolina were lost, and 48% of the manufacturing jobs in Michigan were lost. Number 16. Back in 1970, 25% of all jobs in the United States were manufacturing jobs. Today, only 9% of the jobs in the United States are manufacturing jobs. Number 17. Do you remember when the United States was the dominant manufacturer of automobiles and trucks on the globe? Well, in 2010, the U.S. ran a trade deficit in automobiles, trucks, and parts of $110 billion. Bye-bye. Number 18. In 2010, South Korea exported 12 times as many automobiles, trucks, and parts to us as we exported to them. Look at that. They're lending to us. We are not lending to them. The United States now spends more than $4 on goods and services from China for every $1 that China spends on goods and services from the United States. Whoa, I just got done reading that to you. America, Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 58. Jesus, keeps on getting better and better, doesn't it? Number 20. Since China entered the WTO, World Trade Organization, in 2001, the U.S. trade deficit with China has grown by an average of 18% per year. Number 21. The U.S. trade deficit with China in 2010 was 27 times larger than it was back in 1990. Number 22. The United States has lost an average of 50,000 manufacturing jobs per month since China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001. What did I just get done reading to you guys? Stay tuned for the next section.